Welcome back into the Rounding Third podcast. I'm Nick. We have Harrison and Sean with us tonight. How we doing, fellas?
Good, good.
Awesome, boys. How we doing?
Not too bad. Not too bad. Another crazy week in baseball, but we'll get right into it. But first, make sure you follow and like us on Facebook. You can also subscribe and listen on YouTube, and also listen on Spotify and Apple Podcast or wherever you get your podcasts. All right.
So before we get going tonight, Nick, the people want to know Truist Park.
Truist Park
How was
amazing. It was so good. When I was there, we had second deck seats in left field, right by the Hank Aaron Pavilion. Really cool. I saw Travis d'Arnaud hit an absolute moonshot. I think it went 474. It was
a bomb.
Crazy. But the center field area from the center field all the way over to the back of the Chop House is like all fan interaction stuff, and it's mostly set out for the kids. It's awesome.
Oh, cool.
They have like a 90-foot base pass. The kids are just running the bases like up and down. Blooper was back there taking pictures with all the fans. Chop House was wide open. So I got to walk around because the game wasn't interesting. The Braves hit like 6 home runs. The game was over in the third inning.
It was a beatdown.
But I mean, it was a beautiful ballpark, really cool. Behind home plate is where all their kind of like Hall of Fame stuff is. So like Hank Aaron has stuff back there. They have like glove replicas for everybody that's in the Hall of Fame. It's just really nice and laid out. And like each ballpark I go to, I'm like, nope, this is my new favorite. Nope, this one.
Yeah.
Nope, this one. This one. Like they're out of this world, man. And as a baseball nerd, like I love it. It was great. It was a good trip. It was hot, but it was definitely worth it.
They call it Hotlanta for a reason, right?
God, traffic down there. You couldn't pay me enough money to live in Atlanta. Screw that, dude. It was brutal.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, it was great. I can't wait. I'm hoping to possibly get to Tampa in August. So go from a nice park to, whatever that shithole is.
I've been there several times. It is a dump, but
yeah.
You'll get great seats because even though they're the best team in baseball, still nobody cares down there.
They're drawing better. They're starting to draw. They're drawing
better. I'm just amazed that they can't sell that place out like ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
Well, that's a great segue, Harrison, because leading off, the MLB just released today that the red hot attendance weekend across all of MLB. So this is the best attended Sunday since 2008 with more than 600,000 fans going to games. The best average attendance for a Sunday since 2014, and it's the first back-to-back weekends of more than 1.5 million fans since 2017. Now, here's my question. Is it the pitch clock revitalizing the game and evened out the playing field for the teams to these big markets? Is it a coincidence? Or is it the Reds, Pirates, Orioles, and Rays kind of coming out of nowhere and drawing more people to them that usually don't draw? Or a combination of all of it?
Yeah, it's probably all of it. I don't really buy into coincidences in general. I don't think there really are such things as coincidences. I think the pitch clock helps. I think people are recognizing that they can buy tickets, go to a game, and be home in 3 hours. That helps. Those aforementioned teams that are playing well, like a Cincinnati and a Pittsburgh, like are long historic clubs that have fan bases that largely remember when they were good. So it's like now they're playing well again. It's like, okay, let's go to the ballpark. Tampa, not really so much, but Tampa's a bit of a different kind of animal. But the other three, Pittsburgh, Baltimore, and Cincinnati, man, I mean, like, they used to dominate.
Yeah.
And not that long ago in the grand scheme of things. I mean, we're not talking 80 years ago dominated. We're not talking like all white baseball dominated, like dominated in the 80s, in the early 90s. So it's like, you're starting to play good again. You're starting to want fans to show up. I mean, you look at a team right now like Chicago, like the White Sox. The White Sox want that. The White Sox should have that, right? I mean, like that's a storied city that, they're not as storied of a club as the Cubs, certainly, but, not an expansion league team. And it's like they struggle to draw because they just cannot put good teams, productive teams on the field. But Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, Baltimore, they're showing you that if you can, people are going to go. And I think the pitch clock does help that. I really do. Right? I mean, the ability to go to a game, be home in 3 hours is a huge draw rather than like, who knows when we're going to get out of here.
Yeah, that brings a lot more kids to the game, I think. A lot more families are like, all right, you know what? Like my son can get home at 10:30 versus 1:30 if we go to a Red Sox Yankees game last year. You know? So like my kid can actually go to school the next day. I think also like you said, the Rays are unique because the Rays are pulling people when they're on the road.
Big time.
Right? I mean, I think people are going to ballparks to see the Tampa Bay Rays because they know how good of a team they are, but nobody in Tampa itself really cares.
No, I feel like they're drawing better this year, though. And
I think overall, yes.
Like I have nothing to back that up. It's just like watching the games. Like I just feel like there's more people in Tropicana than normal, but they're not selling out. But I feel like they're pulling better.
Yeah, they're averaging about 17,000 fans a game, which would put them basically middle of the pack in the AL.
Yeah, but that's got to be up from years past, though, right?
It is. It's up. It's up about 4,000 from last year. So they're drawing better than last year. You know, they're still kind of middle of the pack in the AL.
Yeah. So,
but with AL teams like Boston and New York, and Texas doesn't really pull, but Texas is really good, and they should pull better. Yeah. Houston pulls really well. Seattle pulls really well. Like there's AL teams that just like they just pull well. So like I would never expect Tampa Bay to be in the top of the American League, but for them, middle of the pack is fine.
Yeah. I mean, for whatever reason, Florida baseball just it doesn't draw well. It never has. The Marlins didn't draw well even when they were winning. It's just for whatever reason they don't seem to draw well. But I think one other factor too, when you look across the league right now, is that you really only have 4 teams that are like truly out of it. You know, there are years that at this point you've got 7, 8, 9 teams that are truly out of it. But you look through the standings right now, you got about 4 teams, and you've got teams like the Pirates and the Reds who have really strong fan bases that have been dying for a team to be good that are coming out.
Yep.
Because you think back to when the Pirates and Reds were good back in the 70s, 80s. Those teams, those were some fierce fans that came out every night. They've had nothing to root for a long time. They finally do again. You're starting to see teams like that pull. And I do think the balanced schedule is part of it. You're having players come to town that you've not seen before. You know, Shohei Ohtani's going to a bunch of markets he's never been in. I bet the ticket sales for those games are up.
Oh, yeah.
So I do think there's a lot of factors at play here. Pitch clock makes the game more appealing. Balanced schedule gets more exposure to players, and you've got more teams competitive than in the past. All those factors, I think, are making it more appealing to go out. And I think about how many times we've talked on the show about how exciting that team is, how much fun they are to watch. Like, I feel like we're just seeing a better brand of baseball. We're seeing better baseball across the board this year, which is making the game more appealing.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the reason Tampa doesn't pull in Tampa is because their population's in bed by 4:00. I mean, we've talked about that before. 7:15.
Eating dinner at 4 and in bed by 7.
Yeah, the retirement gates close at 6. Like they can't go to a game.
But all joking aside, though, that the stadium is just in the worst possible location.
It is.
It's not in Tampa. It's like it's across a bridge.
Yeah,
it's
you're
tucked
in St. Pete.
It's just such a pain in the ass to get to. It's like if I lived there, even if I was a 33-year-old person now, like living down there and season tickets were cheap, it wouldn't even be worth. Like, imagine living in Tampa Bay and driving to St. Pete on a Wednesday night, a Thursday night, a Friday night, or whatever, 3 nights in a row to go to home games. Like, it's such a pain in the neck to get to.
It is.
Like,
it's a good ways out there.
I'd go once in a while. Tickets are cheap, or good teams coming in, or you got Glasnow on the mound, like something like that. It's like, all right, I'll go in, I'll make the effort to go in, but to just do it night in and night out. They need to make an adjustment there.
One thing I'll add, because I used to spend 1 week a month in Tampa for like a year and a half back in my past life, and Tampa itself is such an amazingly cool place. Like when people get out of work, they're not thinking about rushing to St. Pete to go to a game. They're thinking about going to an outdoor restaurant. They're thinking about going to the bars on the pier. They're thinking about going to the beach. They're thinking about going out on the boat. Like there is so much to do in that Tampa, Clearwater, St. Pete triangle. It's it's warm. You got the Gulf of Mexico breeze. You got all the water amenities. Like that place is so freaking cool to hang out. Go to Ybor City, grab some Cuban cigars and see some live entertainment. Like there's so much to do in Tampa that like shagging out to St. Pete is not that appealing.
Yeah, that's fair. I was going to say, because I mean, people have season tickets to the Red Sox that live in Maine and New Hampshire, and they make that hour and a half drive to Boston, take the T in and all that stuff. But Boston has that history. Boston has that historic franchise, like Mitch kind of put in the comments. Like it's hard to stack up against teams that have history, like the Yankees. Like people are going to make that sacrifice to make that trip in for every home game if they got season tickets, because half those people that got season tickets have been on that list for 25 years. Like they've been waiting for
there's that. Sure.
So that's just part of the history. But I just thought it was pretty cool, like overall, that attendance is going up, that Major League Baseball actually did get this right. Like we liked the pitch clock. We were kind of hesitant on it. Like, how is it going to change the game? And then they kind of threw all the changes at once, and they seem to be panning out right now. However, we are seeing pitchers' injuries starting to go up, which we'll talk about more in depth later on.
Yep.
But we're seeing, I think, a lot more pitchers at this time of the year starting to go on the IL already. And most of them are, I'm not a team doctor, but it looks like for rest. They're like, he's got like he's got a strained fourth hair on his left forearm. Like he needs some rest. And he just goes on a quick 10-day IL or like
it's guys that are it's almost like it's tired, it's overuse. Yeah. It's mechanics that need to get sharpened a little bit. I mean, Hunter Green went on the IL today for the Reds with some hip pain. They feel like he's been forcing things a little bit. So for him, it's more of like a maintenance and rest thing. Obviously now if the pain doesn't go away, it becomes something more serious, but they believe it's more of kind of giving the guy a break to stretch and let it rest. But as we talked about with Alek Manoah and, maybe not necessarily DeGrom, but when we were talking about DeGrom to an extent, this pitch clock is making these guys work faster. It's making them throw more pitches. It's making them, and you're seeing guys like Alek Manoah who couldn't keep up. Like you got Max Scherzer's complained about it too. Like these guys are tired. They're throwing pitches. They're throwing them quickly.
Joey Votto just went yard.
Oh my goodness. Well, segue to Joey Votto's
return. Welcome back, baby. That is awesome.
But real quick, just to bring it home, I guess, I think you're seeing pitchers getting placed on these 15-day, 20-day, 30-day ILs. I think all of the rules kind of coming into play are assisting that too, like with the added roster flexibility that Major League Baseball has allowed these teams now. Because I think Major League Baseball was smart in expecting that these kinds of injuries are going to be a little bit more frequent with the pitch clock.
Yeah.
Right? Like, hey, it's more pitches in a shorter period of time. Like you're going to have more discomfort. I don't even know if I'd call them all injuries because I think some of it is fatigue, some of it's just a bit discomfort. And it's a long summer. I mean, these guys need the rest. And if you're a team, it's smart. Take advantage of that. If they're going to give you increased roster flexibility and allow you to bring extra players up and give you more options to send more guys down and give you that ability to do it, take advantage in June. Like, why wouldn't you?
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's smart. And I mean, this could come back to be a dumb comment if Hunter Green misses the whole rest of the year. But, I think for a guy like him, like you look at what the Reds are doing, right? They're on an 8-game winning streak. I mean, it's largely powered by these young guys.
Big time.
Largely powered by these young guys.
But Hunter Green has also thrown 100+ pitches in his last like 4 or 5 outings, I'm pretty sure. Like he's gone really, really deep pretty early. But I mean, sure, he can do it, but like we've said all along, it's a marathon, right? Like
that's what I'm saying. So you've seen that he's done that.
Right.
Yeah. Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
That's what I'm saying is like, why would you have him throw 105 to 110 pitches this early in the year? Like, yeah, you guys are hot, but like, if you want to sustain over the season, you can't just fizzle out in the middle of June.
But you can do that in June because you're essentially giving him through the All-Star break off. I mean, that's a planned thing, right? That's a thing like, hey, we're going to unleash Hunter Green. We're playing well. We're hitting the ball well. The bullpen's pit. Like, we're going to unleash these guys. And we know we have that roster flexibility to put him on the IL for lower body discomfort or whatever he's on there for.
Yep.
Right.
Right.
And we're
Yeah.
essentially going to give him a month. And when that month is over, we're pretty much at the All-Star break. And we're going to give him. So it's the way I look at it is it's somewhat planned and somewhat like, hey, we have the ability to do this that we didn't have in years past. So let's take advantage of it.
Yeah. I mean,
That's fair.
Hunter Green has right hip pain. That's his drive leg. That makes sense. He's thrown a lot of pitches the last few weeks. He's on a pitch clock. He's working fast. He's probably tired. Makes sense to give him the break. And to your point, Sean, he's going to get extra time because of the All-Star break. The Angels are doing the same thing with Shohei Ohtani. We talked about it last week. Shohei went to the Angels and said, hey, guys, I'm tired. Like, can you back me off to 6 days? Can you find me some extra rest? And the Angels said, sure. So they backed him off to 6 days, and they're going to give him a break before and after the All-Star break. So he's effectively going to get like a 3-week break. Because that's going to keep him fresh and keep him from getting hurt. But I think that's the nature of what we're seeing. Like teams are, to Sean's point, taking the opportunity to give these guys some, maintenance time to just rest, build back up, so that they're ready for when the games really matter in August and September. Because the Reds haven't been here before, or
Not
haven't
these
been here in a long time. Yeah, they haven't been here in a long
Reds.
time.
Yeah.
So making sure a guy like Hunter Green is fresh in August and September makes more sense than making sure Hunter Green is pounding the the plate in June.
Yeah, that's fair. It's a fair point. Yeah. So I just thought that was interesting. Like, I'm glad attendance is up, and everyone. Baseball needed that shot in the arm because a couple of years ago when we were starting this podcast during the lockout, we were sitting here being like, "Is baseball dying? Are we on the cusp of losing baseball for good?" And I think all three of us at one point was like, if they don't make changes, it could be like we could be in trouble. But
and to their credit, they did.
They did, absolutely, and it's heading in the right direction.
I will say one thought I had the other day that kind of hit me out of the blue was we've railed on Major League Baseball for not promoting its players, but what's happening through the balanced schedule is they're getting those players more exposure to different markets. So indirectly, they are promoting the players now by getting them into all these other markets, getting them in front of all these other fan bases. So while they could do a better job marketing them in general, you are seeing the fact that you're getting players into markets they haven't been in before, which is helping get them in front of fans.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's move on to the series from last week. I hope everybody's got their brooms out because this was an insane amount of sweeps. I have 4, and I feel like I'm missing some. I have the Sox sweep over the Yankees. I have the Reds sweep over the Astros. I have the Giants sweep over the Dodgers, and I have the Brewers over the Pirates. Let's start with the Sox over the Yanks. I didn't watch too much of this series. I was in Atlanta, like I said, but how were those games? Did you guys sit there and watch them, or?
Most, yeah. I was flipping back and forth, specifically Saturday, Sunday with the U.S. Open. With that being on out in LA, being late. But I did. I watched a good amount of it. And listen, man. I mean, it's. We said it in our little group text, and we've been saying it for years. And it played out right before our eyes in Fenway.
Big time.
The Yankees can't score runs when Aaron Judge is not in the lineup. It is. The numbers are staggering, dude.
It's frightening.
It's staggering. So with the doubleheader on Sunday, the Yankees have played 23 games without Aaron Judge in the lineup, and they've scored a total of 12 runs. That's insane.
That's really
insane. I mean, it's like
because there's still guys that can hit in that lineup. Like where do they go?
But it's like if you really stop and like take a breath and think about that, that is outrageous to play 23 games and score a total of 12 runs because you're missing. Granted, he's the best player on the team, and he is, a top 3 player in baseball. Like, there's no question about that. That's not the argument. You should be able to squeeze runs across the plate and grind out games. You're giving your pitchers no chance whatsoever.
Right.
You're giving your pitchers no chance whatsoever. And we've talked about in Mitch's comment here, that batting is contagious. I fully agree. It's something we've said. I've specifically said on here for 2 years. There is something to be said for the team that doesn't necessarily hit a ton of home runs, but has a whole bunch of guys that scrap out at bats, because shit like that is contagious.
Yeah.
You see a guy battle a 9-pitch at bat and earn a walk, or foul off a bunch of tough pitches and then broken bat single, that's contagious. Like, you want to get up and do the next thing, and then the train keeps rolling. The Yankees have none of that.
Nope.
All they have is Aaron Judge and then a whole bunch of like Kirkland brand Aaron Judges. That's what they have. So Aaron Judge goes out, and that's like, we just have a bunch of guys hitting 220 that like maybe can put the ball over the fence, but like don't work at bats.
They don't.
It's if I was a Yankee fan, man, I'd be so frustrated. I'm not a Yankee fan, and I'm frustrated. Like,
Yeah.
You know, and for all my hate of Aaron Boone, there's only so much the manager can do. And I don't think he's good. I think there's been, you know, he goes to the bullpen too early. He gets the wrong guys from the bullpen, especially late in games. Like, don't worry, I have plenty of bones to pick with Aaron Boone. But there's only so much he can do. The team's just not that good. And, you know, I guess that's my big spiel on the Yankees. The Sox look good. You know, Bayo looked really good Sunday night. He just looks, every outing, he just looks more and more comfortable. More and more comfortable. You know, it's not exactly the Murderers Row lineup in New York right now, but it's still, you know, it's not the worst lineup in baseball. I know they don't hit well, they don't hit as a team, but they still have dangerous guys in there.
No.
Right? Like, those are still guys that you make a mistake to, you know, it's easily 3-zip. So got away with one. I think it was a 2-1 count, might have been 2-0 count, but left one over the middle to Rizzo, and Duran made a great play in the triangle. But other than that, I mean, a couple of maybe missed pitches here and there, but I thought he looked really good. I thought his out pitches were awesome. Sorry, real quick, and then I'll finish up, Harrison. I thought his out pitches were awesome when he had 2 strikes. He sat guys down. Whether it was the sinker up in the zone, whether it was the changeup that's just filthy, he was setting guys up. You know, he just, every outing, he just looks more and more comfortable.
Yeah.
And it's a guy that you kind of have to look at and go, you know, I hope the Sox don't overdo him this year. Right? I mean, like, let's get him the experience, get him the innings, because he needs the innings, but let's not overdo it. And like, let's go. I'm already looking for next year for Bayo. Like, let's go. You're a horse. He is the talent, man. The stuff is there.
Yeah, I think he's one of those young guys that benefits from this being a bit of a bridge year. You know, he's going to pitch whether he's good or not. You know, if he goes out there and throws up a stinker, they're going to run him out again next time, because they've got the chance and flexibility this year to let him pitch. But John Boy Media did a thing on the Yankees, and a couple of stats I found interesting, and I forget the exact number, but the Yankees are 30th in the league hitting in hitters counts. So
interesting.
So basically 1-0, 2-0, 2-1, 3-1, 3-2. They're worst in the league. And they are so far off the league when it comes to 3-1 counts. As a team, they have like 7 hits all year in a 3-1 count. What's more interesting is that they lead the league in strikes taken in a 3-1 count. So what it tells you is that the Yankees as a team, we talked about the Red Sox approach earlier in the year. The Yankees as a team are taking 3-1 pitches. So they're not even up there ready to hit. So a guy like Aaron Judge goes up there and he hits in any count. You know, his numbers in any count are good. And I think that what he does is he kind of breaks that cycle. Right. You got a lot of guys in like Rizzo and Donaldson, and when he's healthy, Stanton and LeMahieu, and all these guys that like just love to take pitches. Like, but they're the guys that like you're not afraid they're going to ambush you if you pipe a fastball 0-0, because they're not that kind of hitter. They're a JD Drew style of hitter. They're going to sit there and wait until they get that pitch. So if you look at Bayo, he just attacked the strike zone the whole game. And the Yankees took so many good strikes because they just don't go up there ready to hit. They are up there looking for walks. They're up there looking to work counts. Yeah. And if you put two quick strikes on the board, they're done.
Yeah. Well, they're done. Yeah, and we had talked about it in over the past 2 years. For all the fault we have with Boone, the front office they stack a lineup of 9 guys that are the exact same.
Yeah.
Right. Like JD Drew Harrison, I thought is a good comparison, but the Red Sox really thrived with a guy like JD Drew. Maybe he didn't individually, do what everyone. We can have our own discussion on JD Drew because I think he is who he was. Like, people expecting more from him is crazy, but
there wasn't 8 more of them.
Correct.
But that's it. But the Red Sox didn't go out and do a lineup full of JD Drew.
Correct. That would have driven. Right? It wouldn't have worked.
It wouldn't have, because stuff like that doesn't work. Yep. Just like 9 David Ortiz's wouldn't have worked either.
Exactly.
Like you can't just do 9 of the same guy. That's not how baseball works. No. And the Yankees just kind of have this idea that, like, oh, we're just going to be the Bronx Bombers, right? We're just going to put a whole lineup full of guys that can just crank home runs. We're going to lead the league in home runs. We have the short porch, this, that, or the other, and all this. It's like, how many years in a row does it not work before you say, hey, let's try something new? Yeah. And listen, man, I mean, as a Sox fan, like, I enjoyed watching, particularly Bello, because Bello I was having game one of the doubleheader. I was like, all right, I'm excited to watch Bello. I hope they sweep, but if Bello goes out and struggles, like, it's another learning opportunity for a young kid. And he shoved. But I agree with you. It was largely because he was given a lot of easy at bats. Yeah. There was a strikeout he had for was it the catcher there?
Trevino?
No, it was
Higashioka.
Well, I can't remember which one had game 2, which one caught game 1. They're both a blur to me. But there was one he got down 2-0, right? So we're talking hitters count. 2-0. Change-up missed. So he hasn't thrown a fastball, and he's down 2-0. I mean, the odds are he's coming with a fastball, right? Or a sinker. Yep. I mean, the odds are. And he takes one right down the dick. 2-1. Now it's 2-1. You just took the best pitch you're going to see the entire at bat. You just let it go right down the middle. Yep. You just took it.
Yeah. Once the Red Sox changed that approach, because we were saying they were doing that same thing early in the year.
Oh, it's killing me.
Mm-hmm. And once they tweaked that and fixed that, they've been one of the best hitting teams in baseball since. Like, you're not seeing the Red Sox do that much anymore.
I told my kids. I mean, granted, it's JV baseball, but I told my kids, listen, aggressive in the zone.
Yep.
If you swing at a strike and pop it up, like, fine, it happens, man. It's baseball. You're going to get out more than you don't get out. Like, that's part of it. But, like, you can't sit there and just take good pitch after good pitch after good pitch. You can't do it.
No.
I mean, you can't do that and expect to have good results. You just can't do it.
Well, you think about it as a pitcher mentality. You get a new batter, what's your pitcher mentality? First
strike
pitch,
one.
strike. Right.
Strike one.
And then when you're 1-1 counts. Right. And then when you're 1-1 counts. As a pitcher, that's your mentality. So why wouldn't that be as a hitter? Being like, oh, he's coming right at me right now. Like, it's crazy. But you know what? I'm saying all this like I could stand up there and still hit pro pitching when I knew it was coming. You can give me a location and a speed, and I'm not touching it. But
yeah, but it's different though, Nick. But you're up there with a mindset to be aggressive.
Well,
so that's all we're talking about.
Right.
We're not saying these guys have to hit 800.
Right.
Like, you got to go up there with the mindset to hit.
Right.
But so just as an example, the Yankees are 23rd in the league with a 230 team average, and they are 28th in the league with a 298 team OPS. I mean, OBP, sorry. But they're 14th in the league in runs scored. So basically, they don't hit well, they don't get on base much, but when they hit home runs,
their OBP
they
is
score
below
runs.
300. That's
their OBP
crazy.
is 298 as a team.
Wow.
I mean, they're
terrible.
Right, exactly. So you look at that, they're hitting 230 as a team, their OBP is 298. They don't hit well, they don't get on base, but when they hit home runs, they're 14th in the league in scoring runs. But that all revolves around them running into one, because
it's last year's Yankees and the year before that Yankees and the 2020 Yankees. I mean,
same thing year after year.
It's what they do.
Yep. They're trying to win the game with 3-run home runs. And when you don't hit them, you lose. And against good pitching, you lose. And when Aaron Judge is out, you lose. Like, you have to have more than one trick. And they've literally just got one trick.
Dang.
It's a good one, but it's one trick.
Yeah, when it works, it's great.
Man.
And it puts butts in seats, usually.
Yeah. Let's switch over to what we thought was the biggest series of last week coming up was the Brewers and the Pirates. That was a battle for first place. Pirates go into Milwaukee and just absolutely just get their teeth kicked in and knock them all the way down to third. Cincinnati takes over second place, trailing the Brewers by a half game. So the Brewers sweep the Pirates right back to third place. Again, I didn't see much of the series. But that series really wasn't even close. Yeah.
No, it was not a fun series. Pittsburgh was way overmatched.
Yeah.
And I will say the one hallmark to Pittsburgh all year has been they don't lose games bad. But they weren't in any of these games. Like, they were just never in them.
Yeah. That's what
they're in another Pittsburgh skid. I mean, they've lost 6 straight. Last I saw today, they were down to the Cubs 3-0 last I saw. Yeah, so
they've lost 8 out of 10, 6 straight. I mean, They're a young team. They're going to ride
They're
that
a young
roller
team,
coaster.
right? They're a young team. Yep.
But
With no pitching.
And so Nick, just over the weekend, there were actually 7 sweeps. It was Phillies, Marlins, Brewers, Reds, Giants, Braves, Red Sox.
Dang. 7 sweeps.
Crazy.
That's crazy. Yeah. So let's talk about the Reds real quick. So they get Joey Votto back. He goes deep tonight. That was crazy. Seems like
when I heard he was coming back, the first thing I said to you guys was, this guy is going to come back and have so much fun with this young team. Yeah. This is a guy that's been dying for this team to be competitive. He's been dying for people to be around him. He's finally coming back to a good situation. And I was pumped when I heard he was coming back, because this is the kind of team that a guy like Joey Votto can only make better. Joey Votto could go 0 for 100, and he'll make this team better just by being on the field with these guys.
No question.
Huge. I love Joey Votto, and he will do a lot for those players.
And it was an absolute electric announcement on Instagram too. Announcement of he's coming back.
If you haven't seen that hype video, you need to go see it. It's so
look it
great.
up. It's classic Joey Votto. It was awesome. It made me smile. It was awesome.
Love him.
Yeah. Could have ran through a wall after I saw that news. I love that dude.
not even run through a wall, man. But I watched it and I was smiling. I shook my head and I'm just like, fucking Joey Votto. Like he's the man.
He's amazing.
Like, he's a guy that like you just want to be friends with. Yeah. Like not even because he's good at baseball, but he just seems like a hilarious dude.
Yes.
Yeah.
But he's also really good at baseball.
Right.
Yes.
And his fan interactions too are
awesome.
Are top of the league. Like he's so great. He's what every MLB guy should strive to be.
Yes.
Like, it's awesome.
Yep.
But yeah, how about series for next week? I haven't taken a look yet.
I haven't either. Let me take a look here.
But
this is it's kind of it's another, I would say, weird week. You've got some cool matchups. But you've also got some odd ones. I will say, to start the week off, you've got San Diego. That's usually a good matchup. San Diego's come back to life a little bit. San Francisco's actually been on quite a run too. They're in second place now.
Yep.
That could be a good one. I do think that you've got Mets Houston. Alonso's back. The Mets are more compelling. Red Sox Twins should be good. You got Baltimore and you got Baltimore and Tampa Bay, which that'll be
Milwaukee.
Awesome.
Dude, the Diamondbacks put up 6 runs in the first inning against the Brewers. They're up 6-0 already.
Yeah,
that'll help.
Yep. And that was Corbin Burns, who got absolutely lit up.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Yeah. You got Baltimore, Tampa that I think will be good.
Yep, Baltimore, Tampa should be real good.
The Guardians and Diamondbacks. Go to my Diamondbacks minute for a minute.
Got to get our Diamondbacks update in.
Yeah, I mean, Diamondbacks lost 2 out of 3 to the Guardians.
Yeah.
But no, they won 2 out of 3. Sorry, they lost 1. They lost 1
like
12
yes, that's correct.
But yeah, I think they got manhandled by the Phillies. They lost 3 out of 4 at the beginning of the week to the Phillies.
Yeah, and then I think back half of the week, there's really just 2 series that catch my eye: Houston at the Dodgers, and then Arizona at San Fran. A lot of NL West movement will happen in those series.
Yep. Yeah, Dodgers going down to 3rd place is not where they want to be, but I mean they are the New York Yankees of the National League right now. Their whole starting rotations on the IL.
Yeah,
Urias is the Dodgers.
Yeah,
Urias is there. Syndergaard's there. Everybody is on that rotation.
Well, I think Syndergaard's hurt after he gave up that home run to to Ellie. That was
whiplash.
That was a missile.
Yeah, but I mean Bueller's still out. Like I mean they're struggling right now.
It's not pretty, and the Dodgers I think are still the team to beat in the West, but they're in really bad shape right now.
Yeah. All right. We're going to move on to the 7th inning here, where we're going to try something new this week.
Oh, God.
I am going to throw out a little trivia. So if you're listening, you can chat in and try to do this as well. So I'm going to give a category. We're going to start easy. And these are just going to be career milestones. I have 3 sets. So you got to give me the top 5. Okay. Career RBI leaders. Go.
We got Hank Aaron, Barry Bonds,
Albert
Pujols, Ted Williams?
Nope.
Babe Ruth?
Babe Ruth?
Oh, duh. Who's the fifth?
A-Rod?
A-Rod. Yep.
So it's the
top
home run.
five.
So the home run and RBI list is the same?
Is the same. Career
just
home
gonna
run
say.
and RBI. So Hank Aaron's first, Pujols is second, Ruth is third, Rodriguez is fourth, Bonds is fifth. Bonds is the only one on there with a sub 2,000 RBIs. It's like 1,900 and something.
Yeah.
Crazy. All right.
And just if you have it in front of you, just who's sixth? Who's right behind Bonds?
I don't have it in front of me.
Okay.
I'll pull
I
it
just
up when
didn't know
Nick
if it-
moves on.
I just didn't know if it was close.
All right. We're going to switch over to pitching now. Okay.
Okay.
Top 5 career strikeouts. Go.
Nolan Ryan,
Nolan Ryan.
Randy Johnson.
Randy Johnson.
Cy Young.
Nope.
Ooh. Spawn.
Nope.
Bob Gibson.
Nope. So it might be a tougher one.
Walter Johnson.
No.
Ooh, who's my next guess? Clemens.
Clemens. 3.
Oh, of course, Clemens.
Yep.
Of course, Clemens. Sean, you idiot.
Bartolo Colon. No,
He should have been. He was
he pitched for 30 years. We
You
got
got
what, three. We got 3 of the 5.
Yep. You got a lefty.
Shohei.
Nope. Oh, not yet. A lefty in a lefty in Philly.
Oh, Carlton. Jesus.
Carlton.
Carlton.
Yep.
Of course.
And then a righty from Minnesota. Might be a name that once you hear it, you'll know it. But
Righty
For
from
Blyleven?
Blyleven, yes, top 5.
Good call, Sean. Thanks, guys.
Yeah,
Nice
nice
job.
work.
Yeah, Nolan Ryan, Randy Johnson, Clemens, Steve Carlton, and then Blyleven rounds out the top 5.
I don't think of Blyleven as a big strikeout guy.
Yeah, neither do
Right.
I. I don't either.
No, but
If he didn't say, if Nick didn't say Minnesota, I wouldn't have guessed him.
No, I Blyleven was on my radar. I would have gone to Jack McDowell or somebody first, but
yeah,
I used to love Chris Berman. It was Bert Behome Blyleven.
nice.
He had some good ones, man.
He had some really good ones.
All right, here we go. Last one that I have for this week, and then I'll do more categories next week.
So to answer Sean's question, 6th place is Lou Gehrig, who's 1 behind Bonds. 7th place is Musial, who's 44 behind Gehrig. Then
And
the
so
gap
who's the
starts a little
active?
bigger.
Who's the biggest active? Who's the highest active?
Highest
Gotta be
active is
Cabrera, right?
Cabrera. He's 14th
Oh, of
with
course.
1856.
I don't even consider him active. Who's behind him? For active?
There's nobody else active on the list.
It's fair.
Okay.
That's fair.
I don't
All
even
right.
consider him active anymore.
There
No,
might
I mean,
be
Come on.
there might be one.
I'm sorry, Nelson Cruz is at 100 is 103rd with 1319.
Okay.
Well, Nelson Cruz is 103, so
That's
I mean,
fair. Robinson Cano was at 112 at 1306. He was a good one day.
Yeah.
Sure
There
was.
might be one name on this list that you don't get because he's an old timer, but here we go.
Oh god.
Top 5 career stolen bases. Go.
Oh, Ricky.
Ricky.
Ty
Yep.
Cobb.
Ty Cobb.
Ricky, Ty Cobb, Kenny Lawson. He's not on there.
Nope. Cardinals.
Ricky, Ty Cobb.
Ozzy?
Nope.
Oh.
Outfielder.
Outfielder.
Lefty. Man.
Who?
Lou Brock.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
Lou Brock's 2.
Yep.
Billy Hamilton. He's like 1902. That's the name you wouldn't have
Yes,
got.
ain't no way.
And then this guy is also a Hall of Famer, played for a few teams, Expos, White Sox, has the nickname Rock.
Say Raines. Tim Raines.
Tim Raines is number
Yep.
5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
But
good.
yeah, the career stolen base ones was a little bit harder, but that was cool. But maybe I'll do some current ones next week. Be kind of
It's
cool.
fun.
But
It's just fun to dive in and
Yeah,
think about some of these
absolutely.
because there's some categories that just like jump right out at you, and others you're like, man, I don't know.
yeah. I was gonna do like pitching career wins, and I was like, dude, I don't even know because I mean, you got Cy Young at 5,482 wins, and then you
Right.
got
Yeah,
No, he's
the
got
career
more-
ones
he's got
can be
more-
hard.
He's got more
you
losses
got more
than wins.
losses than
so-
wins. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, the career ones can be hard because you got guys from the turn of the century that were putting
Yeah.
up crazy stats.
Honus Wagner. Doug said that no, it wasn't Honus. That was a good guess.
That's a good guess, yeah.
All right. Next question I put out there. If there was a player, past or present, that you would like to see a documentary on, who would it be? So this comes in light.
A la Barry Bonds.
Right. This comes in light from the Barry Bonds documentary that they said that they're in the process of making or gonna make. Who would you like to see a documentary on?
There's a few, like, I'd love to see like a go back in time, like Ted Williams, but like Ted Williams is gone, so he wouldn't be part of it now. So like it just wouldn't be as good.
Yeah.
Same with like a Roberto Clemente. Like I'd love to see something like that.
Yeah.
Because I have no idea if this is true, but my expectation, like Barry Bonds is going to be the integral part of this. It's not just going to be like someone like Ken Burns telling a Barry Bonds story. Like Barry Bonds is going to be a big part of this, which is what makes it so compelling for me. It's a good question. I mean, if he'd be fully down to be like completely transparent, completely open, completely, A-Rod would be a fascinating one.
Yeah.
Like if A-Rod's going to be fully
alone.
I mean, but even outside of that, like,
right.
Him going to the Yankees, moving to third base, even though he was clearly a better shortstop and should have been the shortstop of that team, him with the steroids, him making the big money in Texas, him coming up with that Seattle team. Like, what was it like to be 19 years old and be the talk of that team?
Right.
Like I'd love to hear all those insight things from A-Rod. I think he's too guarded, but like if everything was on the table, give me that.
That's a good one. That's really good one.
I got a few as I thought about it that I thought would be really fascinating. One would be Jim Abbott. I'd love to understand the story of Jim Abbott and what that's like, getting to the show with that disability and how he was able to play right through it. I'd also love to see Cal Ripken, and I'd love to see Cal Ripken because I'd love to understand the streak. How much of the streak was about him? How much of the streak was about the team? How much of the streak was about just running him out there to continue it going? Because I'm one of those believers that as cool as the games played streak is, I would argue that was probably not good for him and not good for the Orioles, but they did it for some reason. Because there's no way a manager goes, yeah, Cal, you played 150 games in a row and you're totally gassed, but why don't you go play again today? Like, I struggle with the streak. I'd love to know the story behind the streak. Who started it? Whose idea was it? Why'd they push through it?
I'm fully on board as long as we get an honest answer and not the canned answer that we've been getting for all these years. Like, give me the legitimate, real answer, and I'm fully on board.
Yep.
Fully on board. I think that's a good one.
And then one last one I'll throw out there is Johnny Damon. I would love to understand Johnny Damon's story, and I'd love the behind the scenes of that Red Sox organization when he got there.
Yeah, this is a good one too.
He's the one that coined the idiots. He was the leader of the pack with the crazy hair and the ridiculous antics.
And the beard. Yeah, everything.
Yeah, like I think that he would be fun to go behind the scenes on, understand who the hell Johnny Damon really was.
Another good one.
I still, every time I picture Johnny Damon, I just picture Manny Ramirez cutting him off in center field on a dive.
Oh my God.
And throwing it in by his knees and still crazy.
Well, and I mean, he was like a cult icon in Boston. I mean, the t-shirts were everywhere. I mean, he was a cult
It's funny about Johnny Damon too. Like he even said it, I think it was in that 30 for 30 about that. Maybe it was a different documentary, but up until Game 7 of the Yankees, when they clinched, like Johnny Damon was awful in the postseason.
Oh, he's horrendous.
Like, the Red Sox, and he was the guy throughout the season that like set the table, right? Get Johnny Damon on base and everything. And he was just non-existent for like the majority of that postseason. And the Sox still just were offensive machines.
Yep.
Yeah.
For that 4 games in a row against the Yankees, and then of course they swept the Cardinals. But that's an interesting one too. It's like Johnny Damon's a really good one. Damon's a really good one.
So we do
also
have
another one.
His story would be fascinating.
Too, yeah, another one. Like I think I would like hate watch it, but like another one would just be like not even necessarily the baseball career, but like what the hell happened after baseball with Curt Schilling? It's like I mean, we're just talking about the 04 Red Sox. Like that just popped in my head. Like I'd watch that out of like morbid curiosities. Like,
Yeah, the
what
video game
hell?
studio that blew up, and
Yeah,
he got
like it
sued by a
started
bunch
there,
of
and then it
states,
just
and oh,
my goodness gracious.
So
I mean,
our viewers pick Jim Britt said that Curt Schilling, amazing blend of everything you would want from a baseball player and nothing you would want from a human. So
Yeah.
I would watch a documentary on him.
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, he
Yeah,
got crazy, like the
for
video
sure,
game
for
studio,
sure.
the politics, like he got into some weird stuff when he got, and then he just disappeared.
Oh, if you're on Twitter, he ain't disappeared.
Oh no, he's big on Twitter still.
Whew.
Yeah.
But Joshua Rodriguez said Ichiro. Ichiro would be a
That'd be a good one.
Great
Yeah.
one.
Starting in
Great
Japan,
one.
coming in. Nick Fanning said he's got a few off the top of his head: Thurman Munson, Ichiro, and then Yasiel Puig story.
Puig.
I mean, we'll see.
That's a colorful dude right there.
Yep. Eventually down the line, obviously Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
But even give me a Shohei one now.
yeah, why not?
Like you said, current players, right?
I've been adamant that I thought the Shohei thing was a little overblown, and it was more of a hype thing than anything. But what that dude is doing this year, unreal. I mean, unreal.
Dude, he hit a ball he hit an Oppo Gap home run earlier in the week that was like 117 exit velocity. And so there was like a StatCast account on Twitter that I followed that like overlaid every home run that was like over 115 exit velocity. Every single one was pulled by a left-handed hitter, and then there was just a solo one, Shohei Oppo Gap.
Yeah.
Who hits an Oppo Gap home run 117 miles an hour? It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't.
It's crazy.
It doesn't.
Nick Fanning would also like, and I would love this too, a Czech Republic WBC.
Oh my God! Yes,
documentary.
please give us that. That would be great.
Starting from literally playing in each other's backyards to playing on the biggest stage in baseball.
Yeah, from wiffle ball to the WBC.
Like legit.
I can get on board for that.
Yeah. Doug said
just don't let Great Britain make it.
At least not their uniform.
Yeah.
Doug said Manny Ramirez, Ortiz, and then Jeff Bagwell. Interested to see how the batting stance work. He was around the borderline steroids. He's in the hall.
And don't forget the Red Sox traded Bagwell for Larry Anderson, a bag of balls.
Yep.
Also, I wish he was still with us. Tony Gwynn would be a great one. Just to listen to him talk about his approach to hitting would be an awesome one.
Just listening to other people talk about his approach to hitting too is
I know, but wouldn't you want to hear it straight from the source?
Oh, absolutely. But I'm sure they have enough video footage of Tony Gwynn talking about hitting as well that like they could put something together.
I would have paid good money to listen to Ted Williams and Tony Gwynn just talk hitting.
Yeah,
that would have blown your mind.
Crazy. Ed Molina said Griffey. Obviously, I mean the kid,
good one,
just great. And then Keith Fuller said McGuire and Sosa battling each other for the race, which I'm pretty sure they did. They have a
summer of 98, 30
yeah. So they did that.
I'd love the behind the scenes of that whole era. I'd love the behind the scenes with guys like McGuire, Sosa, Canseco. Like what really went on during the steroid era? What was really going on in those clubhouses and
who knew how much?
Right.
They all knew. How much did even if you didn't do it, like you did do it though. Like
everybody knows.
Anyone that says they didn't do it back then, I don't want to say I don't believe because like that's not fair. But like you just like really you didn't everybody did.
There's no way you had no idea what was going on.
So
at least there's that. At least you can't play dumb. I don't believe that.
No.
Right. So I have 2 current players I'd love to see, and then 2 former players. So my 2 current, Daniel Bard. I would love to see that.
Yeah, that'd be
That's a good story.
He got the yips,
particularly the comeback.
7 years and coming back. Yeah, exactly. Liam Hendricks for what he just went through, what he just missed. Like, I mean, I'm sure cameras weren't following him around, but I'm just thinking that was pretty cool.
Yeah, Trey Mancini would fall into that category too.
Yep.
Yes.
Jim Abbott, like you said, Harrison, and then this one. I don't know how anyone hasn't brought it up, but Pete Rose. Give me Pete Rose.
Oh, because they'd never do it. That's why he was on my list. And
but again, if we're playing the hypothetical game and everything's getting laid out on the table, like I want that, give it to me.
Yeah, I would love to see it.
Absolutely, give it to me.
Can I be? Are we in the trust tree? Can I be honest
100%.
about Pete Rose? There's just something about Pete Rose that like really bothers me. Like whether it's his face or like it just makes me angry. Like I'll be honest. I don't know if I could watch a documentary about Pete Rose.
Okay. Fair.
I don't. I think I would be in. I think I'd be like, oh, I'm excited. This is coming on. And then I'd turn it on. And then 5 minutes in, you just get like the cocky Pete Rose personality. And I'm like, it just turns me off. It'd be hard for me.
No, you're totally right. Because what I find with Pete Rose is two things. He's not likable.
But he loves Pete Rose. No one loves Pete Rose more than Pete Rose. And to me, like,
Ricky
guys
Henderson?
like that are just but guys like that though, like, I can do in small doses.
Yeah.
I couldn't sit and watch a 90-minute Ricky Henderson documentary. I couldn't do it.
No, because he would just and I love how he talks about Ricky as Ricky in the third person.
Yeah,
but sure. I think Pete Rose he's not likable, and I also think his story itself is boring. Pete Rose was a guy who got up in the morning, went to the ballpark, went home. Got up, went to the ballpark, went home. He was a grinded out dirt dog kind of guy. He didn't live a flashy life. He didn't do anything exciting. He just showed up every day and hit. And I think that's the problem with Pete, is that he's not likable, and his story is probably not that interesting. But I would love to know the behind the scenes of what was really going on with that Big Red Machine, because there's all kinds of stories about the personalities and the battles in the clubhouse, and but I'd also love to know, like, what did he really do? Like, did he bet? Did he not bet? Like, was he really calling stuff in? Was he, like, what was going on there?
Yeah, that's kind of where I was leaning with it. Just like to know.
It's a good answer. It was just a moment into Sean's brain. I just, like, it would be good, I'm sure, but I just, you'd have to miss me on that one.
Yep. Doug says a Black Sox documentary. Yep, absolutely great one.
Especially if we could go back in time and talk to those guys.
Yeah.
That would be great.
I mean, Eight Men Out's a good movie, but it doesn't give you the real story.
No. Well, neither do documentaries, depending on what side the documentary
or the news, for that matter. So that's where we're at in this world.
All right, let's move on to heading home here, where we got some news to wrap up for the week. JT Realmuto hits for the cycle and a loss to the Diamondbacks last Monday night. The first catcher since George Kataris, whatever. A name from the past there that was good for about 3 weeks.
Blew my mind.
But yeah, a name that almost everybody knows. I mean, I was being facetious. I mean, like, he was good for like a short period of time.
About 4 at bats.
But like, people knew who he was. Like, he was.
I mean,
yeah.
I don't know if he has an all-star appearance, but I'm pretty sure he was one of the top catchers in the league there for a little bit.
He was like Jared Saltalamacchia. He was one of those guys that, like, came up with all this hype and never really put it all together, but he'd have some flashes of brilliance.
Yeah.
Taylor Teagarden and Jared Saltalamacchia. The Rangers used to use, like, they 3D printed these catchers and ran them out there, and every single one of them would get up. They'd come up, they'd have like a really crazy hot streak, they'd fall off a cliff, and they would struggle to ever put it back together.
Oh, just kidding. He never made an all-star game.
That doesn't surprise me.
I mean, a 215 average doesn't do it for you?
No. I mean, have you looked at Kyle Schwarber's stat line this year? Guy's hitting $187 with 20 bombs. Like,
yeah, Qatar says 32 for his career.
Yeah.
Okay. But anyways, Emmett Sheehan for the Dodgers in his major league debut just goes 6 innings of no-hit ball.
Yeah, why not?
No biggie.
Is that good?
It's just the major leagues.
Another team, the Dodgers are another team that just continues to bring these young pitchers up.
Yep. And then they all need Tommy John.
Yeah, I mean, they work them hard in the minors, apparently.
Yeah. Here is the White Sox season in a nutshell, or their organization in a nutshell. Lance Lynn strikes out 16. That's his career best. He tied the White Sox record for a single game best, and the White Sox lose.
Yep.
I mean, that's
how they go.
Also, I mean, it was not taking anything away. It was Seattle who, like, far and away strikes out the most in the league.
Yes.
15 out of those 16 Ks were swinging. That's crazy.
Yeah.
15 swinging strikeouts.
That's when you know you're just filthy dominant. Like, everything's in the zone, and then it's not.
And it's just like you're just missing bats.
Yeah.
And that's where, like, I think the veteranness, if we can make up a word, of Lance Lynn comes into play, right? So it's a guy who he knows he's just missing bats. I'm missing bats. They're missing balls. Why fool with it? Just throw strikes.
Yeah.
right? You get younger guys that are in that groove and they're trying to paint, they're trying to throw the perfect pitch. The pitch count gets up, they end up walking a few guys. Lance Lynn, no. Like he knew, I'm missing bats, they're missing balls. I'm just going to throw strikes. And the stuff was good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not taking anything away from him. But he didn't do anything special. He just threw strikes.
Yep.
I'm just going to pound the zone. They're missing balls. I'm missing bats. I'm going to throw strikes.
Yeah.
And it worked. I mean, they lost, but it worked for him.
Right.
Well, that's been the story of Lance Lynn's career. I mean, when that guy's got good stuff. When he can pound the zone, he's really good. But he tends to get erratic. When he gets erratic, he gets absolutely blown up.
Yeah. Speaking of nothing special, let's go to the Oakland A's reverse boycott. They did get 27,000 fans to the game, which was a 27,000% markup, I think.
Yeah, basically.
But the ultimate slap in the face was when Manfred came and said, "Yeah, that's like our average MLB attendance." Like,
yeah,
it was just a cold. I mean, he's not wrong, but it was such a cold statement to say at that point because the fans are trying to make a statement, and Luis Arraez goes 5 for 5 tonight. My goodness gracious!
But that's also like you look at me just like you just try to be a dickhead.
Yeah,
like
I think so.
Like,
that's him backing the owner. That's exactly what he's doing.
No, I know, but it's like there's a time and a place to make a statement like that. Like,
agree.
Yeah,
we've been talking for years about how the A's aren't drawing.
Right.
I mean, and now all of a sudden they put together this movement, if we want to call it that. They get 27,000 people in the ballpark, and then the commissioner of the league comes out and he's just like, "Yeah, that's not a big deal. Like you're just an asshole."
Yeah. In that instance, I completely agree with you. As the commissioner of MLB itself and not protecting your one little owner guy here, like you have to look at the bigger picture and say, like, these fans are the reason I make buco bucks every year to be commissioner. I shouldn't be treating them like that. I'm with you.
Yeah,
100%.
like you just come out and make a statement that says, "Hey, man, like, it's not ideal for anybody that this situation is playing out the way that it is." Right. But kudos to the fans for showing up to the ballpark. I'm sure the players enjoyed having 27,000 fans. Like, you don't even have to be crazy. You just make like a middle of the road statement.
Yep.
Like,
agree.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And did you see the A's ultimate baller move? They're donating all the additional ticket sales to charity because the owner doesn't even want the money.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Yeah. So the owner came out today and announced the fact he's going to donate all the additional ticket proceeds to a charity.
Yeah, that was announced before the boycott even happened.
Yeah, right? I don't think anybody noticed until he's actually now like going to strike the check and send it. But basically the A's owner doesn't even want the ticket sales money. I don't even want your money. I just want to get out of town.
Yeah. So that day they had the reverse boycott. Vegas passed the legislation and went across the governor's desk. He goes, "Yep, let's bring him to Vegas." So
now, do we think that's a coincidence, or did they just like ram that through so they could do it on the same day?
Yes.
Again, as the guy that doesn't believe in coincidences.
Yeah, exactly.
I would be hard pressed to believe that, like, oh, it just so happened to be the same day. Like, there's 365 days in a year.
Right. Like, it could have been any time.
Yeah. On top of that, Manfred came out and said that the city of Oakland did not provide them with ballpark plans. He came out and flat out said the city of Oakland did not make us an offer. And then the city of Oakland turned around and said, whoa, wait a minute. Yes, we did. Like, we gave you a full-on plan, a full-on proposal, and you guys are saying we didn't. We did. So it's like he said, she said, all over the place. At this point, I don't even know who to believe. At first, like, I was almost backing the owner. I think we all were, being like, this was his idea to put it on the waterfront. And it sounds like it wasn't his idea. It was the city's idea to put it on the waterfront. And the owner ultimately said, well, I don't want to pay that much out of my pocket to put it there. But now he's investing that money into Vegas. So again, here we are straddling the fence, not knowing who to believe. And the Oakland A's are gone. And that's it.
I'll be honest with you, man. It's I don't want to say I don't care, because that's the wrong way to put it, but like, what's come out, like what we know about this is probably 10% of like the full story.
Oh,
and it's just so hard to form an opinion that you feel strongly about if you only know such a little bit of what actually happened.
That's fair.
So it's like, it doesn't make for like great radio, but like I don't know enough about it to have a strong opinion and care.
It's like I can barely manage the $5 I have in my wallet, let alone 1.
But it's not only that, but it's something I heard, and I'm not a huge Bill Simmons guy, but something I heard Bill Simmons say a long time ago, like billionaires should build their own fucking stadiums, which like I tend to agree with. Like I recognize that it's not that easy. Like I recognize that there's a whole lot of, city ordinances and stuff like that has to go into it and all this. But like at the end of the day, you're kind of an asshole if you're taking a long storied organization like the Oakland A's, who has had history there, dominated periods of history there, winning World Series and Hall of Fame players and all this stuff. And you're owning this team now, and publicly you're saying, oh, the city's not letting me build. And then privately, the city is letting you build, but you don't want to put the money up yourself. You want the taxpayers to pay for it. It's like that. Just if that's really how it played out, that's kind of an asshole move on you. But again, we only know what they're choosing to tell us. Like we're never going to know the full story. So it's going to be hard for me to really firmly take one side or the other and place blame because I just don't know. And it's exhausting to try and like keep up with it and figure it out. Yeah. At this point, it is what it is. It looks like they're moving. I mean, it looks like we're getting a team in Vegas. So
yeah, I mean, it's everybody right now is going to come out and kind of cover their own asses. They're going to, they're going to say what they need to say. Manfred's going to back the owner. The owner's going to claim he got nothing. Oakland's going to claim they gave everything. In the end, it doesn't matter. To Sean's point, the ownership group of the Oakland A's are getting what they want. They're moving. The city of Oakland is losing yet another team. Oakland's track record has been they pushed everybody else out of town. So I tend to think that they maybe didn't give everything they thought they gave. But either way, Oakland's moving. They're going to Vegas. They're only going to be in Oakland through 2024. Their stadium lease ends at the end of the 2024 season. So next year will be the last year of baseball in Oakland. They're going to have to find a temporary home for 2 or 3 years while that place gets built. They're already identifying temporary sites so they can play for the next few years until their stadium's ready. But they're moving, and there will be no baseball in Oakland after 2024.
Crazy.
No professional sports in Oakland. Oh,
yeah, true. No
sports.
That's nuts.
No sports at all.
Man.
And the owner is going to put $1.1 billion of his own money into this ballpark in Vegas to get out of town.
Yeah. Just to switch gears to college real quick, to the College World Series. This was heartbreaking for a bid to get to Omaha. Texas against Stanford, and Stanford walks off on a ball that was lost in the lights. I mean, ball goes up and nobody moves, nobody sees it. Ball falls and you lose your bid to Omaha. I mean, dude, what a crappy way to end your season, right? You go on a run, you're 1 win away from the World Series, and you just don't know where the ball is. Crazy.
Yep.
It's tough, man. I mean, it's tough. I and it's not fair to these kids because it's like these kids are only there for 3 to 4 years, but like, Texas baseball has won it enough. Like if it happened to like the one small school that like is
Oral Roberts,
like Merrimack baseball, like all right, like that would be terrible.
Right. Yeah.
And again, that's not fair to these kids because it's like, who knows? They may never even have a chance. But all joking aside, I mean, it's tough. It's, it's one of the first things they teach you in Little League, man. You play it with the sun's high in the sky, the lights on. I mean, ball goes up, you got to find it. And I'm not placing blame on anybody. I'm just saying it's one of those things. Like they just couldn't find the ball.
Yeah. I mean, Twilight baseball is impossible sometimes. You can't see anything. But
it's tough.
It is. It's hard.
All right.
But I mean, the games have been great. It's been really entertaining.
Yeah, they have.
There's been a lot of great moments. There's been some comebacks. There's been some big wins. There's been some crazy pitching. That kid from Tennessee was, absolutely throwing. He was 100 plus miles an hour with an 88 mile per hour changeup, just messing with people. It's been great. There's been a lot of really good baseball played. Some crazy moments, but that lost pop fly certainly stings.
Yeah. All right, before we get to the injuries and stuff, Luis Arraez goes 5 for 5 again tonight. He's gone 5 for 5 in 2 of the last 3 days. His average is now at 400.
Is it 5 for 5 with 5 singles?
I don't even care at this point, man. I mean, he's back at 400 even. He had 10 hits in 3 days. Oh, probably more than that, but
freakish what that guy's doing.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. All right, injuries real quick. Lance McCullers done for the season, forearm surgery. So Astros lose one of their key pitchers there. Mitch Haniger for the Giants, forearm surgery after getting hit by a pitch. I think they're having almost the same thing done. It was like somewhere in the forearm flexors here. And then this one hurts just because this is one of the 2 guys that people actually go and pay to see play in Kansas City. But Vinny Pasquantino done for the season with a torn labrum.
That one hurts because he's really one of those young, promising guys for the Royals.
Yeah, and other than, I mean, Sean and I were sitting here earlier. It's like they come to the ballpark for Bobby Witt Jr. and Vinny, and you know he lost one of them. I mean, people aren't going to the Royals games because Zach Greinke's taking the mound. You know, like
who?
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Carlos Rodon has been cleared and is making his 3 rehab starts starting this week. So after 3 rehab starts, we might see him back up with the Yankees.
Funny how the Yankees went from we don't know when he's coming back to he's going to get cleared for rehab starts.
Yeah. He was pitching live bullpens and, was drilling guys on his own team. And he's like, well, if we're going to drill guys, we might as well just get him ready to go. So,
you should have pitched this past weekend. Might have put some fear into the Red Sox batters.
Yeah.
Again, though, it's not the pitching.
No, it's not. It won't matter.
Right.
And I mean, it doesn't matter who's coming up, who's on the mound. I mean, if you're scoring 12 runs in 23 games, it's like you're not winning ball games.
No.
So, I mean, listen, it'd be good. He's a good pitcher. Baseball's better when good pitchers are pitching, right? So, I mean, that's good. That's a good thing for baseball that he's potentially coming back. But, I don't think any true objective Yankee fan is sitting there going, "Oh, our prayers are answered now." They got problems.
Yeah, it doesn't solve their problems.
Yeah.
And to jump back to Luis Arraez for a minute, Nick. So with this 5-hit game tonight, Luis Arraez is now the 4th player since 1900 to have 3 5-hit games in a single month. The other 3 were Dave Winfield in June of '84, Ty Cobb in July of '22, and George Sisler in August of '21.
Wow.
That's some select company.
And Luis Arraez still 3rd percentile in hard hit percentage.
Yeah, still can't hit the ball hard.
3rd percentile in barrel percentage. 31st percentile in average exit velocity. I mean, it's just, again, not to take anything away. I mean, we talk about hitting being contagious. And as far as putting the bat on the ball, there is nobody in baseball better.
Yep.
He's like glorified bunting almost.
Right. But it's like, dude, I mean, at a certain point, it's like hit a ball hard.
It's just like Tony Gwynn. Tony Gwynn hit the ball hard either.
I bet you if StatCast was around, I bet you he hit the ball sneaky harder than you thought.
Yeah, maybe. I mean,
sneaky. I bet you.
Tony Gwynn was best known for that little opposite field flare that would drop in over the shortstop's head.
I don't know. He would shoot it through the hole between shortstop and third base.
Yeah.
Tony Gwynn would shoot it through the hole.
Yeah, I don't think Tony Gwynn hit the ball that hard.
Maybe not. I mean, it's an argument that we'll never know the answer to. So I guess you're right. But Arraez at a certain point, like when I watch, it's like, dude, I don't even care if you get out. Just like hit it hard at somebody. I just want to see you hit it hard.
Yeah. Then hit this like accidental home run. You're like, oh, he can actually hit a ball hard. But...
right.
So just kind of piggyback on the Vinny Pasquantino injury, the Royals now overtake the Oakland Athletics for the worst team in the league. I mean, the Oakland A's rattled off 8 straight, was it? I think
7. I thought
it was 7. Was it 7? There was 7 or 8. And then now the Royals have the worst record in baseball. So,
but I would say, so Oakland still has their run differential is still -203. Kansas City is -114. So Well, Kansas City has the worst record, although it looks like that's flipped today. I would still say the Oakland A's are the worst team.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I agree with that.
That team is pretty bad. So the Oakland Athletics have given up 465 runs on the season.
That's crazy.
That's insanity.
That's so bad.
Then the last thing I have tonight, which was pretty big-ish news, was David Freese for the Cardinals got invited to the Cardinals Hall of Fame for what he did during that run in the World Series against the Rangers. You know, that they were down to their last strike. They were about to lose, and he hits that triple, then hits the walk-off homer. Like, they offered him a position in the Hall of Fame, and David Freese goes, "Nope, I know the value of the red coat, and I am not that." However, I think that team could go into the Hall of Fame, and he would be okay with it, but not the individual.
Yeah, he was unconscious in that series. I mean, my goodness.
But, I mean, that team was really good, too.
That team was good.
Yeah, they were.
But, I mean, I appreciate the fact that he said what he said. You know, like, he's like, I don't belong with those legends. Like, I'm not Stan Musial. I'm not Lou Brock. I'm not Bob Gibson. You know, he's like, I don't belong with that red coat.
Yeah, and I said on one of those Facebook groups, one of the baseball Facebook groups, that I can appreciate a guy that holds the Hall of Fame in such high regard that he doesn't feel like he's worthy. So, like, I have a lot of respect for David Freese for having that stance and saying, look, I'm not one of those guys. And somebody said, well, if this is fan based, like the fans are saying that he should be because of what he did during that series. And I get that argument. You know, if you're trying to induct him over the balance of his career, it doesn't make sense. If you're trying to put him in there because of what he did to get you to that World Series title, then I think, yeah, for that moment in time, he holds a special place in Cardinals history. But over the balance of his career, he was just another guy.
Yeah, that's fair.
Well, yeah, I mean, especially his best years were his 5 years in St. Louis.
Right.
And his 5 years in St. Louis, he was a 285 hitter. He slugged 427. He 44 home runs, 237 RBIs. I mean, nothing to sneeze at, but I guess we're just all saying the same thing. I agree with the fan voting is tough because it's like the fans of the franchise are voting and electing you into this Ring of Honor. I think it's hard to turn that down and say you're not worthy because the people that pay so that you can play the game are voting you in as being worthy. Like it's not like there's this one guy that kind of sits in his tower and he just starts picking players. Like then I would say yes, I'm not Lou Brock, I'm not Stan Musial, I'm not Bob Gibson, you know, I'm not Tim McCarver. Like I'm not the great St. Louis Cardinals that you all know and love. I don't belong there. But like this is fan voted. I think and I know we didn't mean it this way, but it's almost like a slap in the face to the fans to be like, no, you don't know baseball the way I do.
Right.
I don't belong in there. It's like, well, we're not saying you're Stan Musial.
Right.
No one's going to walk down the street and go, oh, no, that's not Stan Musial. That's David Freese. Like no one's doing that. We're not saying that. But for what you did in the time that you did it, for the team that you did it for, we're telling you that you belong there. It's kind of, and I know he meant well.
Right. The impact that he personally brought the fans during that time
that's what I'm saying.
Arguably Hall of Fame worthy. And you're right. It's kind of a slap in the face to be like, no.
It's different than like the Baseball Hall of Fame, right? Because you have these writers that, I mean, we could do a whole nother show on the baseball podcast, Baseball Hall of Fame. But it's different. This is fan voted. This is the fan of the team that you played. It's hard. It's hard. It's a tough look, I think. And I get what he's trying to do. And I respect what he was trying to do. But I don't know if it was the right thing to do, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I can see both sides for sure.
Yeah. All right. That's all I had. Do you guys have anything to add?
No, we're good.
All righty.
Nothing other than just I placed a responsible wager, a future on the Texas Rangers to win the World Series. So this is now going to be a 1/3 Texas Rangers podcast. So go Rangers.
So we're going to talk about the Rangers and the D-backs. Is that who we're going to talk about all year?
Yeah.
We'll have our Rangers minute.
You gotta
we'll have our Rangers minute.
You gotta pick a non-Red Sox team, Harrison.
I apparently so. I need to pick somebody. Boy.
Yeah. I mean, you
Well,
got Reds, you got the Pirates, you got the Brewers. Yeah,
All
you
right.
got some teams out there. Rays, Orioles. You got some teams.
Oh, don't pick the Rays.
No, I could not do. I couldn't do that. But
I wouldn't allow you. I'd kick you off.
All right, you got a week. You're on the clock.
all right, I'll find my non-Red Sox team that I want to get behind, so I can balance out you guys.
All right. So before we go, just please follow us on Facebook. You can subscribe on YouTube. You can share our podcast, interact with us. We send out questions of the week. You can also listen to our podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcast. We are live every Monday at 8. There's a combination. It's usually all three of us. Sometimes one of us has to take a Monday off because we have, stuff. But we're here. We're here every Monday at 8. And yeah, we look forward to seeing you guys every week. And we will see y'all next Monday.
Have a good week.
See ya.
Bye.